Oh, thank you. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for being here. So, Polina, she's a little bit late. She's gonna be here in a minute. So I just had a call from her. Can you just tell me where are you guys from? Hey, Dom. Just saw you. You're there. Alfonso, Mexico City. Mexico, it's in the house. Yeah, of course. Bogota. I think you're kind of like very recurrent, right? Andres from Bogota. Okay, cool. Seattle. Okay, good. Costa Rica. Oh, wow. I only been there just briefly. Doha. Hey, hola. All right. So while we're here, I don't want to just go live on Facebook. If you have any questions or if you have any requests of people that you might like to include into this webinar, just let me know in the chat. So if you want us to do an interview to someone else. Yes, she's here.
Hi.
Finally. We were just waiting for you. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was late.
let,
But
let
I'm
me
here now.
let me just go live on Facebook. Can you wait? Can you guys wait me just 1 second?
Yeah, let's do it.
I can entertain those guys while I'm here. So
Okay.
I was just asking them where are they, where are people from? So there's people
Okay.
from Bogota, from Costa Rica, from Mexico City, of course.
Amazing. Hi, guys. I'm in LA now. So we are very kind of close. Buenos Aires. Amazing. Come.
Almost ready.
No worries.
Go live.
Okay, there's a lot of programming and
We're almost there.
yeah. Are you broadcasting it to the to Instagram too? No.
Only on Facebook Live.
Next time. Hi guys, like thank you so much for inviting me. Like it's incredible that you guys started this conversation with the industry people. I feel like I don't know from your side, but from my feeling is that within this unprecedented times and like really strange times, I feel like the community got really closer together, even though like everyone knows who's doing what, but like the conversations are rare. And I feel like now with what's going on, we've been closer than ever, and it's incredible. And thank you for inviting me and having me here. And I don't know, let's discuss things, let's have fun.
So
And
that was like a
this is
quick
the main thing, this is
like,
the main thing, having fun.
yeah. So let's just have fun. So before we start, I always do this. So English is not my main language, so I'll be making some.
Pero podemos hablar español un poquito, ¿sabes?
What? Okay, so there's a lot of Latin American community here, so we can. Do you really speak Spanish or not?
Well, I used to live in Madrid back in the day, so I'm like a dog. I understand, but I cannot talk. That's what we say in Russian. We have this like it's like a dog. You like understand everything when you hear it because I haven't practiced it for so long. But talking is a little difficult.
Okay, so let me just first, we're gonna start and I'm just gonna explain you guys the rules so we can do this properly.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea for this talk is that, we're gonna talk a little bit more about your work, about,
Mm-hmm.
how you do these amazing installations, and you know, like how do you work creatively speaking. So that's what we're interested of.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we're going to follow some open questions from the people that are just tuning us in Facebook and and also on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And before we start, let me just share with you guys their Instagram accounts and everything from
Oh, thank
Silveta and
you.
Polina. So welcome everyone, welcome everybody to this session. And I always wanted to talk to you guys about your creativity, because you know it kind of like literally blow my mind when I see the stuff that you do. And it's an honor to have Polina. Is that correct? That's how
Correct. Yeah. Polina. Yeah.
Polina. So Polina, it's a vice president of Siles Beta, and also from what I understand, you kind of have this role of being a creative director sometimes for some projects.
Correct.
And that's what I want to talk about. So it's gonna be like a very interesting talk today.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get started. So,
Amazing. Let's do it.
well, the first question, like, what is Siles Beta and what does that mean? So I really like, also, I know that, I know the answer because it's talking to you guys,
Yeah.
but I want you to share to everyone the meaning of Siles Beta.
Of course. Well, Silasveta means power of light in Russian. And it's actually funny because when we were coming to the US market, I think now it's almost 5 years ago, we were thinking, should we translate the name or shall we keep it as it is? So as you know, we kept it as it is. And yeah, Silasveta is power of light. And we started 12 years ago back in Moscow. And it's a multimedia studio. It's a production, and it's also the collective of artists and kind of like a producer center. So we have like different people in the team, including motion graphic designers, and we have like technologists and people who do a lot of like technical stuff, and we have producers as well. And yeah, so we started 12 years ago now in Moscow, and I joined the team in 2015, back in Moscow, and then moved to the US in 2017. And we had the office in Los Angeles, and then we relocated to New York. So now our main office is like Moscow, New York.
So you guys started 12 years ago. So that's kind of like the same age that we have as Cocolab.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
12 years.
But we started mostly with projection mapping, and for a long time people knew us as, you know, like projection mapping company. Although now we do all sorts of like interactive installations, stage designs, visuals, like everything that is like kind of like creative studio mostly. But it's still like most of our like fun projects are connected with projection mapping. And yeah, I mean, 12 years ago, it's also fun. I don't know how you guys started. We started from the music industry, mostly music and cars. And
you guys were doing videos for the music industry?
so what we were doing, the first office of Silasveta was in the nightclub. So what happened, because the guys, the two founders, Alex and Alex, actually, Alex and Alexander, they're like fans of music, and Alex was also a journalist, writing about like doing test drives and writing about the cars, and that's how like the passion got together. So they were like into music a lot, and they partnered with this nightclub so that they have the office in the nightclub, and they were doing the stage designs and like some sort of like lighting for the nightclub. So that's where like the the music DNA is like, the music is in our DNA basically. So it's like, was always there. And then as Alex had this passion for cars, they contracted like very few like first projects with the car industry people, and that's how we started doing a lot of like car launches.
And so when you guys started doing these type of projects, like I assume you were like a few people just joining Seedless Lab. How many people are you right now in the team?
So we're about 50 now, 45.
Okay.
So yeah, we used to be a little bit bigger. Now time's changing.
COVID or pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID. But it's actually like the restructuring happened like before COVID, and it's not really connected to that. Because I feel like we were doing a lot of like visuals, and mostly visuals. Now we're like focusing mostly on the technical side of that, and like doing more of like interactive installations, and like implementing all sorts of visuals into like technological progress. So it's an interesting, I would not say we're like completely restructuring, but like it's like, and not shifting the focus. It's still, we're gonna do what we do. It's just like we're looking more into like what's technology bringing now in, and since the industry changing for a second, so we're probably not gonna have live events till mid 2021, and from talking with a lot of artists, live tours are not going to happen till that time. So we're looking into how we can upgrade the current situation of the whole like live streams, and like and even like live events, how you can diversify it to the like maybe smaller community or smaller audience, but still bring the same emotions and feelings.
So speaking about those emotion and feelings, so
my favorite part.
so when you create something, do an installation, like what I mean, like how do you kind of like work in your creative process to like drive these sensations, or how do you say like, hey, I want the people to feel this type of emotion, or
right.
Speaking, and I just wanted to talk more about the creative process. Like, is there a creative process that you guys follow? Do you invent on your own? Is just something that is just like, I feel like we should do this, and then let's do it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah. Or so, for example, we are as Cocolab kind of like a nerds of methodologies, and we're kind of like trying to develop our own creative process, because the more we scale, more we get bigger in terms of people that are being part of Cocolab.
Right.
So you just have to like make something, or make this kind of, have this ability to deliver the same kind of Cocolab like signature.
Right. Signature, yeah.
Like, how do you like do
how
that?
many people are you now?
So, but pre-COVID or post-COVID?
The one that you are.
So pre-COVID, we were like more than 100, like 100 and something. So right now we are like 90 something. So,
okay.
Like,
yeah, I mean, still good.
Yeah, it's still like.
Still good. It's, I mean, unfortunately, and I know how it's like a heavy heart to adjust to these times now, and like unfortunately saying goodbye to some people, but this is how life, I guess, is. But everything's gonna come back, so those people are gonna come back too. So for the creative process, it's an interesting, it's a good question, and we of course have, we're not like developing the mythology of like, or like methodology of like how we like, this is the process. Of course we have a certain workflow, But I want you, when we talk about this, I want you, distinguish two different things. And I think you're going to definitely understand me on this, because the process is very different if you're commissioned as an artist or if you're working for an artist. So there's two ways of approaching it. And like, as I don't know, speaking of the examples, when we were commissioned to do, I don't know, the Spring Studios Christmas tree, I did the designs and it was like pure my vision. And there's like, whatever I want to do is we're going to do. Or when I don't know, when we are invited to work with the nightclubs, most of the nightclub owners just want to, commission us as an artist and be like, okay, you come up with your ideas and do whatever you want. Or for example, when we worked with Ian Schrager for the Edition Hotels, it was completely like one of my favorite projects ever. And Ian was completely open to whatever we want to do and be like, okay, I give you the space, I give you this billboard, do whatever you want to do. And main thing was like, have fun. When you work with an artist, it's a little bit different, or when you work with a brand, because there are certain things that they want to speak about with with the help of Silasveta, Cocolab, I don't know, any other studio. So we get commissioned to bring their vision to life and consult best for their audience, for their people, for even their art. So if speaking of the first approach when we're commissioned as an artist, of course we have like an internal team, and I don't know how your guys working. We have a team of creative directors, and some of them used to be the art directors within the team. Me personally, I like don't program much. I can do like basic stuff, but I'm not doing like the whole programming. One of our lead creative directors, Arthur, he went through like the whole process. He knows who like he actually does like all the motion graphic designs and like implemented in that. And so the process there is like, if we are creating stuff, is you come up with idea, you sketch it out, you have people who, like for me, like I have the team who helps me out with the visuals, and then we contact the if it's something physical, if it's the installation, of course it's then you talking to the vendors. Or if it's because in the US we have a smaller team. In Russia, in Moscow, most of the things we do in-house, and we have the team of like technicians to pull together all those like installations. Then you talk to the like vendors and pull those visions together. Oh, thank you. I was told that my microphone is hitting my gold chain. So we're now do like this. Is it better? I hope it's better.
Yes, it's better. I have one quick question. So there's a creative art director, a creative director, and there's an art director, or is it the same thing? Or is
so what I would say, art director and creative director are different roles.
Yes.
Sometimes they clash. But creative director has the general vision of the project, while art directing helping the creative director with the details and like bringing it to life.
And I assume you also have the role of a producer, right? I mean,
of course, yes, of course. And it was actually an interesting point because myself, I used to do like the first, when I joined Silasveta team, I did business development, and my past is in like my actually education is in arts. But I was like always hustling for stuff. So eventually I was just like, okay, like we met through one of the artists that I used to work with, because I used to run a gallery. And one of the artists that I used to work with, she was doing the project with Silasveta, and that's how we met. And I saw the portfolio, and I'm like, it's incredible. Like, guys, I really want to join the team. And we started, like, I started just doing the business development for Silasveta, and then but always have like some, you know, creative ideas and like the input. And then when I moved to the US, and I moved with one of our producers, Sveta, who's funny enough has the same name as Sila Sveta, which means like Sveta is a light in Russian. And it's interesting how I personally transitioned from doing mostly like, you know, development into more of the creative work, and how this producer slash creative director link is working. And some creative directors, and I know it from myself, have a very difficult time of um, letting the project live without them, and that you don't need to be in every single conversation, and you have to give the producer work their way, because producers are mostly the people, like, they actually coordinate everything. Like, they work with the client, they work with the team, they work with the vendors, they work with like everyone. And it's actually an incredible job. It's definitely not for everyone.
No.
And but you know, in Silasveta, from my perspective and from my experience, producers can switch to being creatives too. So we try not to limit, you know, people if they have the creative input, if they want to be on the creative side, even though they work into, I don't know, the like production, where most of the people confusing that it's completely not creative work. It's not true.
Yes,
Um,
so the same thing happened in Cocolab. Somehow that's the conversation that we have about producers. That's what I'm asking you.
yeah. Like,
Isn't the same kind of sometimes people misunderstand like producers are only the ones who know the schedules, only the know who, you know, like
right.
not true. Like somehow they need to have kind of an ownership of the whole project itself. Like
Exactly. And they have to be in the conversation. And since they have such a deep knowledge of everything, because there is no way you can put together the project without understanding what is the creative part and what is the technical part. There is no way you can discuss with a client, you know, like things that they fix, like amendments. Like, there's all the time you're discussing, okay, we don't like this and we don't like that. You don't want to be just the, you know, a person who transmit one information to from one team to another team. You proceed it, and you actually, and I honestly, to be honest, I was always like paranoid when people call me a producer. I'm like, I'm not a producer, guys. I'm like, I definitely, because I felt there's a way of like diminishing input. But now I completely changed my view on that, because if you're a producer, you definitely getting into the creative process. And it
yes,
also, I don't know, I mean, we're pretty much the same studios, but the process within, like, is a lot of people thinking that producer can be like intersectoral, like they can do like being from one industry switching to another industry, and it's easy because it's just like administrative stuff, which is not true. Like, if you're a producer within companies like Silasveta or Cocolab, I mean, like, I'm taking the, like, oh, if you're a producer in Cocolab, I don't know your process, but I assume that it's you speaking to the team, and you need to know the basics of like graphic design, or basics of like motion graphic design, or basics of like lighting, because there is no way you can produce something without those knowledges. and without those knowledge. And same as like, I don't know, in the film industry, you have to understand what's going on. You cannot be just like completely, oh yeah, I'll switch from motion graphic design into film design and it's going to be completely the same thing. It's the same process. It's not. And yeah.
So working in this kind of like medium that we are, that's one of the things that I always say when I speak about this. Like the thing that we do, we don't have so many time, we don't have so many years of experience as the film industry does, or as the like all these other industries that they know how specific reach their audience, what things will love the audience, like and speaking about that, like how do you make sure that the narrative will be engaging or interest to your audience? Like when you're making an experience or something, how do you decide that, well, this is going to be powerful for my audience? Like this is going to be the thing. Is there a method for for validate that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, again, going back to the things that, like, if you are an artist, I think you have it in your, like, kind of like a gut feeling that's gonna work. And sometimes, as you mentioned at the beginning, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's a creative process, and it's a method of failure, and you'd be like, okay, it's not working. And again, as you pointed out, sometimes we don't have so much time to produce stuff. We like always commission the very last moment. We're always in like tight schedule if we're working for a client, and you have to think fast. And of course, like some of the things that there's like certain things and certain projects and art installations that I have in mind for now years, and they haven't been applied yet. But from the perspective what works or what not, if we're talking of like of the first path, if you're an artist, you have this gut feeling, and of course you're looking into, okay, where's my installations going to be? Is it a nightclub? Is it I don't know, the public space? Is it something that relevant to the architecture? Like, I'm a massive fan of architecture. I always think that the things that we do should work well with the environment, and they influence the environment a lot, as well as the environment influence our work. So if it's something for the public eye, I would definitely consider, as for example, Times Square edition that we did. I literally sat on the Times Square. It was like freezing fucking cold. It was February, and New York is disgusting during winter, and it's just like miserable. I stayed at Times Square for like a couple of days, like from morning to like late night, just to get the feel of the space and see what people are interested. And what I figured out was that it was so noisy, obviously, right? But it was like the whole thing with the LED screens. If you look into the content, it's all very noisy. It's adding this anxiety to people that, like, it's a lot of people out there. It's like thousands of people all the time, and then the environment is adding this like noise all the time. So so my approach to that, to our artwork for Times Square edition, was that I wanted to create something that was a bit out of that world, where you watch that, you'd be like, what the fuck is that? Why it's here? Like, completely like getting you out of that way of noise and like constant buzzing. So we created about 15 short, like 30 seconds videos. And why 30 seconds is that it can get into 2 stories for Instagram, because I wanted people to share. I knew that people are going to be watching that, and you don't want to create like, at first we discussed with Ian that we wanted to create like the whole, you know, 5-minute show. But then you think about that, and the environment of Times Square doesn't work that way. People don't have 5 times standing on the same spot because there's a constant traffic of people. You won't be able to stand there for so long. So we decided to do it like a shorter versions and do it like in like 30 seconds, so people can like look at that and then just like do an Instagram and share it. And so I try to think of like psychology of sharing as well. If you work with a client, and if you're not commissioned as like purely artists, but helping the client to implement their strategies into, I don't know, new product launch, of course, then one of the main conversation you have with the client is, who's your audience? What is your feel about them? Who's your demographics? What is the key message that you want to transmit to them? Is there a certain feeling of I don't know, product that you want, or maybe you want to completely go a different way and like, you know, astonish people, but like because of this such a strong feeling that they're gonna have from the performance, they will remember it and connect it to the brand, although it's completely not connected to your product, you know. So it's a psychology of I mean, it's of a person who watched the performance or who watched your work. And I don't know, I feel like it's such a complicated things, and I think most of us got into this world without realizing that it's so many things connected, from like psychology to architecture, gaming. Like we create now a lot of our projects, and I'm the advocate of I feel like the future is in architecture and gaming together, because as I think it was like in one of the articles that I recently read, like if you can tell Siri to play the music, why can't you tell the elevator to go on the 5th floor or something? And us as the multimedia studios, I feel like we know how to connect to the people's emotions. We know how to create those experiences that are completely out of this world, and we let our imagination drive those things. But the problem with us and our work is that it leaves for 5 minutes and that's it. Or like it leaves for, okay, 90 minutes as like Drake show, for example, but then it's gone. There is no like, some of us do permanent installations, and there's some of those experiences that you can go back to. And I feel like this is the moment where I realized that I really want to be connected more to the architecture and bring the life into the environment and bring the emotions into the environment. And it's kind of a, like also I don't know if you notice, but also if you work with the different cultures, how it, like how the emotions are different. And being like worked in Russia, and like I lived in as I said, I lived in Madrid, and then I studied and worked in London, and then moved to Moscow, and then moved to the US. How you can connect to different cultures through the experiences, through international experience, it's also such an incredible point. And it's also something that you want to consider when you create the experiences. You'd be like, okay, what's the audience I'm talking to? Does red in this culture, if you pull in lasers, what's the color of the laser should be for this culture to connect more to it? Because for some reason, I don't know, like, okay, like Russians love red and you know, like, but some of the cultures would consider red as like such a danger, that it's too triggering too much of the emotions that are not necessary to that particular experience.
And when you're working in this artwork or these visual experiences, and I'm going to ask you this because I don't know where I read it, but I heard that an artist never finished his work. Like he continuously want to keep
Right.
improving their work.
Yeah. That's
That's
when producer goes like, no, stop.
yeah, exactly. and somehow, I mean, there's a clear schedule that you have to, you have to finish. That's one of like a flag that's telling you, I have to finish this work because I have to deliver this to a client or to or whatever. So when do you decide that your experience is ready and it has sufficient quality and be ready to the public? I mean, do you like, how do you like assure this quality, or how is your process to assure this quality during
right. Well, I feel like it's, of course, there's different things to that. First of all, I'm super anxious person, and I'm always not satisfied. And well, I go through completely. It's horrible. We cannot roll it out to like, oh my God, I love it. It's so beautiful. Can we start now? and his producer that I mostly work with, Sveta, she knows that, and she knows that it goes from like, okay, one day I'm gonna be like, this is it, and the next day I'm gonna be, oh my God, I love it. But first of all, we always have deadlines, so it's you have to finish it by time. Second, it's a matter of the team. I think it's a matter of who you work with and who you trust, and it's you have to work with well, you have to, you as a creative, you really want to surround yourself with people who are doing their best work with a passion you share. And sometimes it's really difficult. Like I figured out that I love working with new people a lot.
I think we lost Polina, right? Hey, are you there? So can you guys talk in the chat, because probably we lost Polina. Oh no. She'll be back any moment. So if you want to ask any questions, probably we can use this time to ask some questions while she's reconnecting. I think she's gonna rejoin this conversation. Probably you can use the chat, or if you're on Facebook Live, you can start making some questions for Polina. Please feel free to use. Okay, what programs do you mostly use to create? I'm gonna answer the question from Cocolab perspective while we have Polina back. May use. So I'm not sure about Siles Beta, about the programs that they use, but we mostly use, well, different things, like depending on what type of programs do you want to talk. So you do want to talk programs for animating content, for making interactive content, for controlling lasers. I think there's a lot of things around there. So
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back, but we don't.
I'm sorry. Yeah, can you see me?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Sorry about that. I don't know. It's for some reason
to answer questions for you.
No. It's like for some reason it's like it dropped. I don't know. My internet dropped. So like, you know, for me, when I feel the same passion about the product that we're creating for, and I feel that this is showing the most beauty of it, that's the ready product. If it's for the artistic installation, again, you just you know that it's gonna get, you can do it better. Like you can roll out version 2, version 3, version 4. Sometimes we do it. Sometimes we recreate the same installations, but we change little things. I don't know how it's for you guys, how you know that.
I mean, like we came from a different kind of a culture because Cocolab started as a company made out of different companies. So
Oh,
it was different companies within, it was kind of like a hub of companies.
mm-hmm.
But one of the main problems that bring to us is like everyone was just being responsible for the things that they were doing in their company.
Right.
It wasn't working, and nowadays we kind of like still have these problems, and we want to resolve because we're changing. Like
Yeah.
we just recently changed that from 3 years ago, I think, or 2 years ago, I don't remember. But from what I understand from what you said is like quality is something that has to be related with, in the first place, with the team that produced that content.
Right.
And in the second part there, if you're a producer in your role, so the producer or the creative director is, they also, you know, like see this other part of quality. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's honestly, sometimes you need to have someone else telling you, this is it. Stop.
Yeah, of course.
because
So
you get
you need
so
a producer to
engaged,
say stuff.
you get so engaged into that process that you like, you don't see anything else, and you just like keep on doing and like adjusting this little detail. And then the worst thing is that when you like, you know, been working on some visuals for like, I don't know, like a couple of months, and then, or like, I don't know, like a month, then you have like a 2-day rest, and then you look back on that and then you see new details that you want to fix, and you're like, oh my god, you fixing that, you're going first, like first edition, and be like, okay, that was actually good. It happens sometimes, like sometimes, well, again, like as I am very passionate and like a lot of energy out there, I did like a bunch of times when I was like doing a second version of the things, just to ensure that I'm not tripping, and it's just maybe it was the, you know, not the wrong team. Like sometimes you have to understand that certain things are done better by one team, like within your team, and some things are done better with another people in your team. However, and that's what we discussed at the beginning. I feel like everyone should have the opportunity to switch within the company. And if you want to try new things, and if you want to try different, like, because some people be like, okay, this person only program lasers. Although he might not be only programming lasers, he might be like completely into programming different sorts of lights or visuals within like touch designer system. I don't know. I'm like, you know, like making up my mind now, but because he's so in your mind and in the mind of the production team, it's his role is so fixed, and he doesn't get the opportunity to show him in a different way. And I feel like sometimes as you going into like working with all your teams, you need to double check who is doing what and who's like interested in doing what, and then, you know, bringing different teams within your team to work on a certain projects, and like, and this gives you a new understanding where you need to stop or where you need to keep on going. Because once you work with the same people, your works become, I'm not saying that it's like becoming repetitive, but you need to trust people that they develop too, and that they can, you know, bring more stuff. And when sometimes people say stop, that not complete, like not in the project, and they're like, listen guys, you've been working on that, we've been seeing you working on that for so long, like I think it's the time to move to the next thing.
No, no, this is a subject that I'm really interested into. So I'm just gonna ask you something that is related with this. Like, you know, like you guys have been expanding from Russia to New York,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow, how do you align the same vision? I mean, like being separate, but also being like over 50 people, like
Yeah.
or something like that. Like, how kind of like do you manage to, you know, like to keep and have the same kind of
The
quality of
visuals,
vision,
vision, yeah.
working with projects, doing something in New York is going to be the same thing as doing something in Moscow. So it has to be Silas Beta branded or
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel we have like a strong, as you said, like the vision. It's very strong, and you know, we've been we've been called, not called out, but like, you guys so dark. So I guess like darkness, it might be like our you know, unifying thing. But to be honest, it's just the depth of the storytelling that we want to share. And yes, we work across the globe, but it's still kind of a the same core team working on stuff. So I feel like, comparing to the freelance people, and I love working with, like, you know, with like freelance people, and it's all fine. I'm not like, but I think it's a lot of people now having the question, what's the, like, you know, what's the beauty of being with the studio versus like why I can't just do like freelance stuff? Because you have core people who are actually responsible for the quality. You have core people who are responsible for the incredible storytelling, or finding people who can tell that particular story within the project. So for us, it's still, even though we work across the globe, it's pretty much the same core team. And it's been a bit of a challenge to start working in the US, and to bring the you know, like, I don't know how many projects, I mean, you guys did a lot of projects in the US, but the first thing when I got into the US, the first thing was, yeah, we see you're working internationally, but what have you done in the US? What have you done in North America? This is how you gain trust of the locals.
and how do you sell projects? Like there's a question here that says like how do you sell? What is your process to sell to a client? Like,
I mean, you know, my process, like my personal process, I hate selling things, and I don't believe you can. I mean, I've seen a lot of people who like can do that. I don't believe in the things that you can sell something that people don't want and don't need. Specifically with our things, like we sell emotions, and I'm not ashamed to say this. I do sell emotions, and I do sell. I mean, sell, like, you know, like yeah, probably sell, but I don't believe in the things that you can sit down and just like literally sell our projects. It should be something that come from the client first. The client should be ready for that. And even not ready. Sometimes like they're not ready, but they're curious to know what is that. And once you establish the conversation and show that you're able to do, or that you are really, I mean, we have now the privilege of working with people that we want to work with, and we have the privilege of you know, like doing projects and picking the projects that we actually interested, and also, you know, like they're like financially, I don't want to be like, no, I don't want to be seen as like, oh yeah, like it's only like, oh, the projects that we want to do. Of course, it's a business for us too. So, but we're in the position now where we have curious clients who want to elevate the game with like bringing, you know, some creative partners like us. And at the same time, we have the privilege of doing our own stuff as an artist. And I honestly, it's like, it's still a lot of that is engaged with the emotional part of that. So I'm like, I don't know, I don't think you can sell stuff like this. And it's only about the connect. And it honestly, like when I moved to the US, it was tough. It was difficult because one thing that I learned also, you need to be very patient, and you need to learn how to wait, because different parts of the world do different like type of business. And in Russia, for example, if people are like willing to do something, they jump into that and they like, okay, let's do that. In the US, from my experience, it takes a lot of time to, you know, get accustomed to each other, and like, okay, what you've done in the US, what is like who you work with, who you like, what is the main projects you did here. And it takes time, and I didn't know that, and it caused a lot of anxiety within myself, and of course within the process, I guess. So I feel like the core thing here is to be honest of what you're doing. It's yes, you have clients, but they're, to be like, let's be honest, they want to create beauty, but also they want to make money on something that the projects that they're gonna roll out. And I'm happy to help you with the beauty of that, but I'm definitely cannot be, you know, desperate of like, oh yeah, you have to do it. And like, how do you sell that? Like, I like, for me, maybe people know that, like, but for me it's still just being honest with your intentions, and just being, you know, open to and listening to what your client wants, or what artists want. And I know that it's like, for example, when we work with like artists, and being artist myself and working with a team of an artist, of course you have all the time this like tensions, you know, like, okay, like are we, but to be honest, at some point you need to realize that you're elevate, if it's not like a certain collaboration, when the artist be like, okay, you can do whatever you want to do, I just want you to, you know, like, I commission you for this work. But when, for example, you create the visuals for the tour, you still enhancing the artwork of the artist that you're working for. So how do you not step on your ego, because it's not about this, how you see the art that your artist creating, and how you can implement that vision into your work and help him or her or them to elevate their work with the experience and technology that you have.
Yeah. So speaking about the technology, so you guys, most of the work that you guys do, it's multimedia, so, and it involves a lot of technology. Like, how do you incorporate this new tech? Do you have like a specific research department? And there's a lot of questions around the chat about like the tools that you use, and you know, that sort of stuff. Like how does the technology implementation works? Like, for example, in our case, most of the things that we do with technology comes from art. So we do kind of like art installation, which are not for any client, just for us.
Yes.
We do a lot of research with the technology. So we say like, hey, we want to control lasers or lights or these sensors. And then we kind of like invent a new installation to research technology and to have an excuse, because when you do research, you never finish the research. So you can research your whole life, but I don't know how does it work in your case?
I think it's pretty much the same way. I think like we have, again, different types. We have the research department. We have like a little bunker in our office in Moscow where people just like come in and like test stuff. We have one of the options is the creative director can suggest the installation or research. And then studio provides people that can help you with this research. So you'd be like, okay, again, like I want to program lasers in the water. What shall we do? And then we have this idea of an installation, and then research department do that. And then you always need to have, again, the timeline, as you said, like, because it will never be finished. And then all of a sudden the projects come in, and then you as a creative director be like, okay, I have this idea that we just developed. Why not try to implement that into that project? And also I feel like, you know, you definitely know that moment when you work on something and then a project comes in and then you're like, okay, it's a perfect match. It might be not even a perfect match, but you're so into that development that you're like, okay, we're like now doing this for that project. How we, again, sometimes, you know, if we work with an artist for like stage designs, um, the stage design will tell you what technology to use. I think mostly we pick the technology from the creative. It's rarely the other way around, unless again we develop the technology and then you're like, okay, I can implement this to A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, and also, you know, asking one of the questions here, you know, like about the tools that you guys use. Like for me, I will say like it's not about the tools; it's about the idea. Like what idea do you want to
Exactly.
bring, or what emotion do you want to bring, and then you will find your specific tool for that idea. It's not the other way around. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't think you can be like, okay, I have a Unreal Engine and I'm going to implement even like Unreal Engine only. Like, why would you do? But when you have the idea that you want to build on the fly and the visual should be like, you know, you don't have time for render within this specific time. So we have to rely our ideas on, you know, like real time render. That's where you'd be like, okay, this is how we go. But I agree with you that you go from idea. You don't go from the tool at first place.
Yeah. So
How do you feel about industrial design as a starting point for installation design studio? Like having that curiosity tool.
I have one
I
I have one very interesting question here. So I'm reading some other questions on Facebook.
yeah. I'm like, uh-huh.
What
I just read it in the chat. I just read the one in the
collaboration with Cocolab? That's a good question.
Yes, let's do it. I'm down. I'm down. I'm like, honestly, to be honest, you know, I might be like a little rebellious in that thing, but I feel like, again, as I said at the beginning, it's a lot of people, like our industry got like more together now, I feel like. And I haven't seen a lot of like collaboration between the studios, you know, like creative
Oh
studios,
no.
because everyone is just like, mine, it's
Yes,
mine, like
yes.
it's our. I feel like we're living now, it's in the times where everything is
Times
like
are changing right now. Time change, and we.
exactly. And it's like, you know, remember the moment when like people were not tagging other creatives that worked on the projects because it was like within, and it does make sense. I understand why that was back then, but now I feel like it's time of like praising the talents. And if you work with like, I love working with like new talents, and I love working with like collaborating with the teams like yours, for example. I feel like it's such an exchange of energy and exchange of knowledge that like you should not feel like egoistic about that. You should be like, okay, like we're doing cool shit together. Why not? And yeah, and if you can praise the creatives, like fuck yeah. Excuse my
We're
French,
going to bring
but
this conversation over another time, because let's try
yeah.
to do that. So one of my questions was going to be like, do you have any plans to do something in Mexico? And probably we can start talking about that
I would
later.
love to. I've never been to Mexico. I've never been. It's my dream, and honestly, we like would be super down to do that. We did one of the projects, one of the car launches in Mexico City, but we haven't done much other things there. Would love to.
All right, but I don't want to take more of your precious time. I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of things to work on, and I still have more stuff to.
Please, I'm down. I'm like in a happy discussion
Uh,
mood.
so like, yeah, let's keep in touch, and thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
team. It was a beautiful interview. Thank you so much for everyone who joined this conversation, like people on Facebook. And
Just a quick thing. People ask like how you cast new potential creatives that might join your team. Just reach out to us. like whatever, like I'm personally, and like the team is always in constant search of a new creatives, and it's just like reach out. That would be perfect.
Cool. All right, guys.
Send you much love.
Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you guys.
You guys. So people are sending a lot of love in the conversation.
Yeah, love you.
All right. Good to see you and talk to you later.
Talk
Ciao.
soon. Gracias.